Hello and welcome back to another how-to paint video. This time we're going to be looking at Imperial Guard, taking a little bit of a break from our normal Space Marines. And this is probably going to take us quite a few episodes, so we're going to jump right in with our Abaddon Black as our base kind of undercoat layer. And of course we're going to be using kind of a bigger brush for this just because we don't really care about precision. We're going more for coverage, so we are using a number 2. And go ahead and get yourself a little bit of water on your brush. Make sure our paint is nice and thin. And I've actually got quite a few paints we're going to be using, so it's going to be an extensive list, but we're going to keep things simple for our start. Go ahead and apply it pretty much everywhere. The one spot we don't want to get though is the face. Just because that's going to be a much lighter color, and building that back up from black is going to be kind of annoying. So we're going to avoid that if at all possible. But everything else is pretty much free game here. We are going to be doing the normal kind of Cadian color scheme, so we're going to be doing the classic tan and green. Don't worry too much about your tans being dark. I kind of prefer the darker undertones, just to give yourself a little bit more of that kind of natural shading. If you want something a little bit more light and kind of colorful though, you can do the undercoat with either like a gray or a white. This is just kind of what I prefer. I already have an entire army of Imperial Guard, and if they didn't match, then it'd be kind of weird. So I'm pretty invested. Unfortunately, I can't just change up my color scheme without everything looking rough, so I'm not going to. But if you're just starting out and you want either a lighter or a darker scheme, feel free to experiment a little bit with your undercoat here. We are going to be doing probably the first 2 base coat colors in this first episode. Just kind of depends on how long it takes us. I do want to get kind of a nice smooth coverage with this black, but we also have 5 models to go through, so it might not be absolutely perfect. And I do plan to do the second group of 5 at some point in the future. I just don't want to do 20 episodes of Cadians. It'll be kind of redundant and annoying. So we'll break it up a little bit. We'll do 5, and then we'll do 5 more at some point later on down the line. I think next I'm going to do some either Tau or another Space Marine color. I've been talking about doing salamanders for I think like a solid week and a half now. So I definitely want to do that at some point, but we'll get there. I promise we will get there. And let me adjust my light a little bit just to make this a little bit brighter. I'm actually having trouble kind of seeing the recesses here. And don't mind all the off-camera work. All I'm doing is just applying more water to my brush every few strokes just to keep things from getting too thick and from keeping paint getting dried on my brush. That's something you kind of want to avoid if you value your brushes. I don't particularly. These are really cheap Amazon brushes, but I do like them nonetheless, so I want them to last just a little bit. And as we finish up our first guy here, I do again want to kind of point out the importance of keeping the face kind of untouched. Normally I would say the hands as well if you want them to be a skin tone, but I kind of like my guys to wear gloves, so I just do like a brown leather color. But if you're going for a flesh tone with the hands as well, then kind of avoid doing that with your black. And moving on to our next guy, if I can avoid dropping them. I do have a kind of fun little thing in mind. Normally I do my plasma guns pretty basic. I just do like a kind of blue and white like glowing effect. But this time, because we do have a plasma gunner in the squad, I want to do kind of like a kind of like he just fired effect. So it's like discharged, but it's like glowing from the heat and everything. I think that'll be kind of a fun thing to work on, and it'll be different from what I normally do. If you like to see what my normal plasma guns look like, I did a couple of different Dark Angels videos. I think the Dreadnought I did has a plasma gun, and there's like a Hellblaster squad. that I haven't quite finished up yet, but I think I did do the plasma guns in that as well, just to give you kind of a little bit of variation. But I figured I'd try something different this time, and I have no idea if it's going to look good or not, but, you know, I'm always open to experimenting. That's kind of the joy of painting, is getting to try new things and just kind of figure out what works. I also have some new basing stuff I want to try. I have some like little like diorama, diorama, however you pronounce it, grass that I want to try out. I think that'd be kind of fun. I'm hoping that the technical paint I have is good enough as like a good glue, because I did not buy like a proper glue to put it on. So we'll find out. It might not stay. I might have to go buy some glue, but we'll see. We'll give it a try at least, and we'll just kind of figure it out from there. But that should let us kind of change things up a little bit. Normally I'm pretty basic with the basing. I just do like a technical paint and call it a day. But I'm hoping this time we can kind of experiment a little bit with that. Maybe in the future we'll get some more stuff for our other different kinds of bases we do. You know, something for like a more desert kind of theme, something for the more like Martian themes, just to keep things kind of interesting. And I want to get that little bit of helmet there. Again, be careful not to get the face. You technically can if you want. It's just kind of a pain to build back up from, so I'd recommend avoiding it. And you also might have noticed I'm not using my paint handle like I normally do, because it's kind of multifaceted there. I've noticed that I kind of have a problem with keeping things like in frame more if I'm using my paint handle, just because there's like a weird height difference that I kind of have to make up for. Also, switching back and forth between 5 different models isn't fun with a paint handle. If I was painting on my own and I was kind of more taking my time, I wouldn't mind it too much. But yeah, it's not good fun for the sake of recording. I feel like you don't want to sit there and watch me waste an extra 5 minutes just switching models around. And if you want, you can do each model one at a time. I think it makes more sense to kind of batch paint like this, where you do kind of each layer, and then you go down the list of your models, and then you come back, and every time you do a different layer, you just do it all again. It makes a little more sense to me. It's a little bit more efficient, I feel like. But you can also just do one model at a time. It's a viable option. I won't judge you either way. This is just what makes sense to me. So we're going to keep chugging right along. I also am very excited to paint this chainsword. I think chainswords are my favorite thing ever. They're really easy to paint, but they're just so relaxing, like doing all the little teeth on the blades and everything. I am very excited for that. And of course, if you're familiar with Imperial Guard, you'll know that this guy is our sergeant. He's got a sweet bolt pistol. I was actually a little bit disappointed. I thought the Imperial Guard boxes came with a plasma pistol for the sergeants. I guess not. I scoured the sprues and I could not find one, which is rather unfortunate. I think I have to go buy the upgrade kit for that, but that's just kind of a waste of money in my opinion. If it's not included in the base box, I'm not going to mess with it. They did release, for all of you Horus Heresy fans, they just dropped the new weapon upgrades. And I gotta say, it's pretty nice. I don't know what the price is yet, so I can't say for sure whether it's worth it. But it comes with like, I think it was like 10 chain swords, 2 power swords, a couple of like Volkite pistols, some like power spears and axes. Like it was a pretty decked out box, and I kind of want to get it. I normally don't buy upgrades, but man, there was a ton of stuff in it. And again, if it's not like ridiculous expensive, I might pick it up. I still have quite a few Horus Heresy models I have yet to even assemble, so that might be something in my future. Be good for kind of making my guys a little bit more unique. Fortunately, that's kind of a problem with the Heresy models. You get a box of like 20 dudes, but there's kind of no variation between them, other than who's running a plasma weapon, who's running a flamer, that sort of thing. So that should make things a little bit more interesting. And moving on to our fourth guy here, we are almost done with our base coating, or undercoating rather. It is a little bit exhaustive, but it is also kind of relaxing at the same time. I do like my undercoats. It's the easiest part, and it's just more a matter of, attrition at this point. Just having the patience to go through and do all these little nooks and crannies. Much easier than Space Marines, in my opinion. There's much more openness. These guys have they're smaller, first off, which makes things a little bit easier, less coverage, but also there's kind of like less hidden areas. I feel like Space Marines just are endless little nooks and recesses, and it gets kind of annoying after a certain point. But these guys are a little bit more simple. They have kind of easier access to all their little bits and bobs. I also do like their little poses. They're kind of annoying to glue down. Especially these guys who are standing on like 1 foot, but I do like them. They give you like a running into battle kind of vibe, and that is 100% up my alley. I absolutely love it. I'm also a sucker for Imperial Guard anyway. I love these guys. Ever since reading the Gaunt's Ghost novels, I'm a huge fan of Guard. I do know a little bit of lore about Cadians. Obviously, the fall of Cadia. The planet broke before the Guard did. Kind of the classic final last stand thing. I know a little bit about the Steel Legion, a little bit about Armageddon, Mordian, Iron Guard. Honestly, Cadians aren't even my favorite. They are my favorite color scheme, though. So I do like painting them the most. But I think, honestly, Gaunt's Ghosts are my absolute top dogs. If they released a proper Ghost kit, not like the character models that they have now, which I do like, but you can't really build an army with all of the same characters. That does get tedious, and they're really expensive. I think they're like $70 for a box of 5 dudes, which it's a little ridiculous if I'm being honest. But if they made like a proper shock troop squad with them, I'd buy those up. I'd buy a ton of those. I'd love to have a full Gaunt's Ghost army. And we'll get this front of his boot here, and we'll move on to our last guy, thankfully. Not to go too off topic with these videos, but I do do 20 minutes at a time, and it does get a little awkward to kind of fill the time in between. As we do the same color, and I don't really have much to talk about paint wise, and I do like to talk about more than just Warhammer. I've been playing a lot of Starfield recently. Just been getting back into it. I also want to get that guy's little glasses there. But I gotta say, and I haven't picked up the DLC yet. I hear that's kind of disappointing. It's kind of crazy we've waited for like a year for it. I thought it was supposed to come out like the first few months, and that just didn't happen. So I'm not sure what the deal with that was. But man, I want to like Starfield so bad. Like everything about it just sounds like it should be my kind of game, right? It's space. It's Skyrim in space is how it's always been kind of described, to me at least. But it's just not. it just is not. It's very disappointing. I want to like the storytelling. I want to like the characters, but it's just so bland, and everything in it just feels like it's really missed the mark. There's only 4 companions, and they're basically all just reskins of the exact same personality. There's no evil companions. Even the chick who's like literally used to be a slaver or like a thief or whatever, just can't be mean around her, otherwise she'll hate you. I do like the cowboy guy, Joe, or whatever his name is, Sam, I think. He's pretty cool. I do like him. He's got a cool hat. But that's kind of where my love for Starfield lies. That's it. I don't like the quest too much. I don't like the overall world. There isn't much of a story. I don't know. I really just don't know. Everything about it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I think the biggest issue I have with it in general actually is the fact that it's replacing a Fallout title. Like all of that work that they put into Starfield and that they're still putting into Starfield should have gone into a Fallout game. And it wouldn't be such an issue if they didn't release like one game every 5 years. Skyrim came out a literal decade ago, and there's not been a Elder Scrolls since. Elder Scrolls Online doesn't count. I will fight anyone. It's not a good game. I'll say it. I'll die on that hill. I don't like Elder Scrolls Online. I think it's garbage. Same thing with Fallout 76. I don't think they should have made or tried to make MMOs. I think it's dumb, but that's my own personal opinion. Nothing against MMOs. I just don't think it works in the general scheme of things, especially with Elder Scrolls. It's just no, don't do that. But all that dev time kind of wasted. And I don't think Starfield's meant to be a whole franchise. I think it's a standalone title, and that makes it even more annoying. But I digress. We're going to be moving into our next color here. If I can close this. There's so much paint that's dried on the inside of that pot that it just does not want to close. But as we clean our brush off a little bit, we're going to be moving on. This is Castellan Green. This is kind of your classic Imperial Guard color. Excuse me. And as always, we're going to make sure we thin things down just a bit before we go applying it all over our models here. Maybe add a bit more paint. I think my paint's actually been a bit too thin recently, so I'm trying to I'm trying to kind of rectify that, but we'll kind of do our best. And I just want to generally get all the armored bits. There's kind of a distinct difference between the like flak pieces and the little like clothing underneath. All of that's going to be tan, but we do want all of the armor itself to be this kind of combat fatigue green looking color, and I think it looks really nice, especially once it dries here and it kind of darkens a little bit from that undercoat. You'll see what I mean, but I really like Castellan Green. I think it's a great color. Make sure we get the absolute lip of that helmet. And get the back as well. Just be careful, again, not to get the face. And something I kind of don't like about these new Cadians, I really like the old guys a lot. Their armor was much more simple. These guys are more varied. They have more poses, more weapons and stuff, and I like that. But man, the old guard, perfect, absolute perfection. These guys just feel like too busy, like they just have too much going on with their armor, and I kind of don't like that. But that's my personal preference. I do like the new guys. I won't say anything bad about them. I think they're great models, but they don't hold up as well as the old guard, in my opinion. And it sucks because I have a... does this guy have knee pads? Yeah, he does. It's just hard to see with the black. I have a combat patrol of the old guard models, and I didn't realize they were old guard at the time when I got them. And I got them assembled, and I was like, wait a minute, these guys look totally different. And it sucks, because now, if I want to get the old guard to match up with the rest of my other guys, I have to go like out of my way to get them from like eBay and everything, and that's just more expensive. But I digress. I like the new models enough. They're not bad. It's just a little annoying. I do wish there was more guard, though. Give me more guard, please. I think they just stopped the Death Corps of Krieg kit, so maybe that's getting a reboot. hopefully. I like Deathcore. I don't have any of them. I want to get them in the future, but you know, more guard is more good. Maybe no, I think it was Catachans actually, not Deathcore. Sorry, it was Catachans. I think they just stopped making. So hopefully that gets a reboot in the future. And you know, I'd love to see Steel Legion come back. Mordians, I don't really think need a model. I don't think they're really that popular. Valhallans, though, I'd love to see some Valhallans, especially after starting to read at least the Kaifas Kane novels. I'd be into that. I'd definitely be down for some Valhallans. Plus, you know, they have the whole like Viking vibe, and I'm real big into that. So definitely would be something I'm into. And I want to keep these videos kind of short, so we're going to cut it here in just a minute, but I do want to finish up this guy's little knee pads. And I think we'll leave the other three for next time. But as always, I do want to give a quick shout out. I have a Patreon in my description. If you like these videos and you want to see more of them, feel free to check that out. Otherwise, you know, like, comment, subscribe, that whole thing. Let me know if you want to see specific models or specific paints. You know, I'm always looking to check out like new techniques, anything like that, really. Anything you guys want to see, feel free to let me know, and I will do my best to abide by that. Otherwise, I just want to thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.